Have you ever wondered how to create your own ChatGPT using not just GPT models but also others like DeepSeek R1? In this video, I'll show you how to build a custom chatbot that lets you switch between different LLMs for free. In just a few minutes, you'll see how to set up your API key, run different models in Python, and create a fully functional chatbot with Streamlit. First, you need to access the website linked in the description. Here, you'll find different LLM models such as OpenAI GPT, DeepSeek R1, and many others. For this video, I'll be using OpenAI GPT-4o Mini. After selecting it, click on Use this model, then go to Get Developer Key. I'll generate the key and use it in a Python script. Now, just click on Generate New Token, and you'll get your API key for the selected period. I'll copy it so I can use it in my code. All right, now that I have my API key, how do we use the selected LLM in Python? First, I'll go to the OpenAI platform and install the OpenAI library. Then, I'll copy this example and paste it into my coding environment. At this point, we have a basic working script. However, if I try to run it without specifying my API key, it'll return an error. So let me show you how to properly insert the API key and use it. First, inside the OpenAI function, you'll need to add the base URL and API key. For the base URL, go back to the GPT-4o page, click on Playground, then Code. Make sure Python is selected and copy the URL provided. For the API key, just paste the one you generated earlier. Now, I can run the script. I'm making a small adjustment here to only print the output message, so I'm adding content. And as you can see, the code is working as expected. If you want to use a different LLM, like DeepSeek R1, just copy the model name from the GitHub page example and update it in your script before running it. Even though you can use these LLMs for free, there are some limitations you should be aware of. Each model has specific usage limits, which you can check by clicking here. For GPT-4o Mini, for example, the limit is 15 requests per minute and 8,000 tokens per request. To track token usage per request, you can retrieve the usage data and print it. You can also set a limit on the number of tokens allowed in the output response. Now, I'll show you how to build your own ChatGPT app using Streamlit. First, I'll import Streamlit and a few necessary libraries. Then, I'll set up the page configuration. Next, I'll add a select box using Streamlit's library so users can choose between different LLM models. I'll also create a path variable to store the file paths for the model logos. Based on the selected model, I'll load and display the corresponding image. Then I'll create a text input field where users can enter their API key each time they use the app. Additionally, I'll use a data frame to display the model's usage limits. To control the maximum number of tokens for the response, I'll add a number input field. Now, I'll implement Streamlit's session state, which I explained in a previous video. This will allow me to save chat messages every time a new message is sent. I'll also use session state keys to store default values for the input fields whenever the app is launched. As you can see, almost every command includes a key field for session state tracking. To keep the interface clean, I'll use an expander so the input fields don't take up too much space at the top of the chat. For handling messages, I've created 3 session state variables. One to track whether the message was sent by the user or the AI assistant. One to store the assistant's avatar. And one to save the message content itself. If the message list isn't empty, I'll display all previously sent messages. Now, I'll use Streamlit's chat message component to create the chat input and output. Finally, I'll add the messages and assistant avatar to the session state lists. I'll also add an expander to display token usage and include an exception handler for errors, such as invalid API keys. The last step is replacing the placeholders in the chat completions command with the variables I defined earlier and making a few final adjustments. Now, let's run the app. And as you can see, it's working as expected. For a more refined version, check out my GitHub, where you'll find a better optimized version of this app that you can customize however you like.